Hi, I'm Amy Hannon, and nothing thrills me more than people and food. I'm a preacher's wife, a mom of 3, and I own my own specialty kitchen store. I've kept an open door and a well-stocked fridge, which means I have fed a lot of mouths over the years. So welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. I'm so happy to be cooking with you today. Today I'm making Southern Reuben sandwiches on marbled rye with homemade Thousand Island dressing. And we're going to make a pan of easy oven-baked sweet potato fries with a little rosemary right at the end. Southern Reuben sandwiches are one of my very, very favorite quick and easy sandwiches to make. We serve them a lot after church on Sundays when we don't get into the kitchen till about 12:30 or 12:45 because they bake really quickly. And I can just run right through Harps and grab really good corned beef and really, really good aged Swiss and just pile it on their good bread and stick them in the oven. You could omit the sweet potatoes on a busy Sunday, but you could also just serve these with chips if you needed to. But today, we're doing sweet potatoes. Reuben sandwiches are one of my all-time very favorite things. We have grown up on those. My brother and I did. My mother always made them on Sundays. And so that's probably part of the reason that I always kind of think of serving them on a Sunday is because that's when she always had sheet pans of them toasting in the oven. And I make mine Southern by adding chow-chow, which you know that I love. We serve it in our store. We sell it by the jar. We'll put it on just about anything that we can. And so this is no exception. Traditional Reuben sandwiches have sauerkraut, which is how my mother always made them. But the Southern version is chow-chow, that good Southern pickled relish that has cabbage and peppers and shredded carrots and all those good spices in them. And so that just kind of cranks it up a little bit and gives it a little bit of heat and some vinegary tang that I love. So we're going to get to all that in a minute, but right now I've already peeled 3 sweet potatoes and just cut them into little pieces. And sweet potatoes are kind of hard to cut, so you need to be really, really careful when you're cutting them. Like I didn't get all the way through there. There we go. And I just like to cut them in these little pieces like this. Again, you want to cut them where they're pretty even in size. You don't want any pieces that are too big and pieces that are too small because they won't cook evenly, and you don't want that. And so you want to be sure to kind of be careful about cutting them about the same size. And so we're just doing these little pieces about half. So I'm cutting them in half and quartering them and then cutting them into slices. And then we're going to toss these with olive oil and rosemary and all kinds of good things. And then they just bake in the oven. So all the work comes right now, and then you just stick them in, and then the rest of it happens on the sheet pan. So I'm going to put these in just like this. And we will get them on our sheet pan. My mother doesn't have to make Reubens anymore because she lives on a golf course with a really great restaurant and a great chef that I'm telling you has one of the best Reubens I've ever eaten. And so anytime we go back to her hometown, Mountain Home, we always go there. I mean, it is on the books, on the menu, that we're going to go to their country club and have their Reuben sandwich because it is really, really hard to beat. Okay, so we have 3 or 4 sweet potatoes in here. And what I usually do is kind of think of about 1 sweet potato per person on this. So if you're cooking for 4, make 4 sweet potatoes. If you're cooking for 2, just do 2. And you're just going to want to adjust, you know, what you put in them. Okay, so I'm just going to toss these in olive oil and then do a sprinkle of black pepper. You can do as much as you like or as little as you would like. Same with the garlic, as much or as little, but I sure love it, so I'm going to give it quite a bit. I like putting these savory seasonings on the sweet potatoes because they're so sweet. I like to kind of counter that. And then cornstarch. And this is a little bit of a surprise on sweet potatoes, but mixed with the oil and the heat, this actually gives it a little bit of a crunch that I think helps and keeps them from getting soggy. So I'm going to do 2 heaping tablespoons of cornstarch. And cornstarch jumps. Have y'all noticed that? It like bounces out and hops around. I don't know why that is, but it did it on me. Okay, so we have got our sweet potatoes in cornstarch and olive oil, pepper, garlic powder. And we are just going to toss these around a little bit so they're coated. And then because they already have the oil on them, we can just dump them right on our sheet pan. We don't have to prep the sheet pan. The oil will do plenty. And that looks good to me. And we're just going to spread these out. Isn't that pretty on that blue sheet pan, the orange and the blue? So I'm going to just spread these around. We want them to be in a single layer and not really kind of all piled on top of each other. If they're too crowded, they'll steam and they won't actually get crispy if they're touching each other. Some of the touching you kind of can't help, especially when you do 4 sweet potatoes like I am, but you just don't want them in a pile. So we're going to go ahead and spread these out. And that looks pretty good. We could spend a little time tucking them in all the places, make sure that we're in a nice even layer. And then right here at the very end, we're going to do a little sprinkle of sea salt just around the top. And I like to do a pretty good layer. And so we're going to sprinkle these with sea salt and put them in a 425 oven for 15 minutes. And then we're going to turn them and bake them for another 15 minutes or so. And when we come back, we're going to make our homemade Thousand Island dressing. This is Cooking Today. If you're just joining us today, we're making Southern Reuben sandwiches on marbled rye with a homemade Thousand Island dressing that is so good with a little bit of heat from red pepper flakes, which I love. And we also have some sweet potato fries that are going in the oven. We've cooked them at 425 for 15 minutes. I'm going to toss them here pretty quick, and then we're going to put them back in the oven and let them finish getting crisp. And so we're going to toss these really quickly. We have cooked these in, whoo, those are hot. Those are hot coming out of there. We have tossed these in olive oil and salt and pepper. Can you hear them crunchy on the bottom like that? We've tossed them in olive oil and salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. And we've tossed them also in kind of a surprise, unexpected ingredient, which was cornstarch. And the cornstarch is what helps us get the color. And so look at the bottom of these fries. And I'm going to scrape all that off because those bits right there are the ones that are going to taste the best. Do you see that good brown color that we've gotten? So just give them a spin, flip some of them over. You're not going to be able to get them all, so don't worry about it. If you're type A, just let go. They're going to be delicious no matter what. We're going to smooth them right back out and close to an even layer. And then we're just going to stick them back in the oven for about 15 minutes and let them finish up. Ooh, a 425 oven is so hot. Okay, we're going to make a Thousand Island dressing to go on our Reuben sandwiches. And what we're going to do is start with a half a cup of mayonnaise, and then we're going to add a few really good little ingredients in there. So I'm just going to eyeball this. You can get the full recipe on our Cooking Today page and also on unimaze.com. So let's do about a half a cup of mayonnaise. And then we're going to squeeze in some ketchup and some chili sauce. And the chili sauce, well, the ketchup is the sweet one. The chili sauce, that was ready to come right out. The chili sauce is the one that has the little bit of kick. Chili sauce is kind of like a cocktail sauce. It smells really good. Got a little tiny bit of heat in it. So we'll add a little bit of chili sauce. We're going to splash it with a little vinegar. Not much. And I use apple cider vinegar a lot, as you'll see. And that gives it that wang. I love a little wang like that. And now we're going to shake in a couple of teaspoons of sweet relish. And you can do more or less of that if you would like. My son, Isaac, loves a lot of that in his tuna sauces, you name it. It's one of his favorites. A few shakes of red pepper flakes, pinch of sugar, just a little bit, kind of balance out all that heat. And then I am going to chop up a shallot. And a shallot is this itty bitty onion, has a really mild flavor. So you don't have to be scared of it, but it still has a really, really, really good oniony taste without, I always say, stinging your nose. It doesn't sting your nose. It just gives you good flavor. So just get as small as you can. You don't have to worry about getting too small. We don't want to lose fingers over it. And if you only want to do a half of a shallot, this one was actually a little bit big. If you only want to do a half, then you can do a half. And I think I'm going to do that today. Okay. There we go. And then we're just going to whisk this up. I think we can stir it. It smells good. It smells like Thousand Island. My mother loves Thousand Island dressing. My husband loves Thousand Island dressing. So this, we're actually going to put this on our sandwiches as a little spread. But you could actually put this on a lettuce wedge with bacon. Of course, I always have to throw in bacon, but you could have it with bacon and tomatoes and a little cheese. Look how pretty that is. Homemade Thousand Island dressing. It's just that easy. And when we come back, we're going to build our sandwiches, check on our sweet potatoes, and pile these up really good. And we may even have to talk one more time about how much we love chow-chow. But when we come back, we're going to do all of those things. And I hope you'll join us. This is Cooking Today. Hi, I'm Amy Hannon. Watch Monday to Friday, and I'll share stories, cooking tips, and recipes that'll feed everyone from your family to a big old crowd. Cooking Today, weekdays, right here on KNWA. Hi, if you're just joining us, we are just about to wrap up making Southern Reuben sandwiches on marbled rye with a really good homemade Thousand Island dressing that we've just whipped up. It tastes really, really good. And we have sweet potato fries that are baking in the oven right now. They're just about to finish up as well. And so what we're going to do now, while we're letting the sweet potatoes finish crisping, is we are going to make our sandwiches. Now, I make this on a marbled rye. You can choose rye without the little seeds that a lot of people don't like. I get this beautiful pumpernickel bread at Harps. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, by itself, that is just so pretty, and it smells divine. And they make it in their bakery right there. And you could do this on anything. If you didn't want the flavor of the rye bread, you could do this on a good hearty country white. You could do it on a homemade wheat, whatever you really like. This is a little bit traditional, and I really love the flavor that this gives. So I'm just going to line a sheet pan with a few pieces of this bread. We'll make 3 sandwiches today. And what I have here is just a standard baker's half sheet pan lined with like a metal cooling rack. If you don't have this in your kitchen, this is something that I use nearly every time I cook for some reason or another. This is a great little function and basic setup that I use over and over and over again. And so I have got these lined up. And the reason that I'm doing these on the rack instead of just on the sheet pan is so that heat gets underneath there and it toasts both sides. Instead of having to flip the bread, you get a little heat under there and you're all set. So I've got these really pretty pieces of this marbled rye on the sheet. And all we're gonna do is line these with really good corned beef. And I get this corned beef at the Harps Deli, and it is shaved. And on this, I splurge a little bit because I think you can really go wrong with corned beef if you don't splurge. Kind of get my drift. This is delicious. And it smells fantastic, and I get it shaved so that you can kind of make ribbony piles. So I'm just going to loosen, look at that pretty meat. I'm going to loosen this meat and pile one side with the meat. And I love it really, really, really tall and hearty, almost less like a little sandwich and almost like you were taking a big old bite of a burger. So we're just piling this on really, really thick in these pretty ribbons. I feel like that one needs a little more. over here on the side because you kind of want it falling apart. This is kind of a messy sandwich. They're so pretty when you put the tops on and there's just all kinds of stuff coming out. Love that one. And I'm gonna put some more on this one too. Big, pretty showstoppers of a sandwich. Okay, so we've piled one side with the corned beef. And then I am going to do a little extra cheese. I like 2 pieces of cheese on mine because 1 piece of cheese is never enough, right? That could be my slogan. 1 piece of cheese is never enough. So we're gonna do aged baby Swiss. It has a little bit of a stronger flavor than most like regular Swiss. And I just this sandwich is loaded with flavor. So for me, I like kind of going extreme on our cheeses. So I got these huge, gorgeous pieces. Look how that lays over. When that toasts, it's gonna melt down. It's gonna be a beauty. Okay, so I'm gonna lay each side with the cheese. And then for good measure, we're gonna go on the other side too. On this side. And if y'all weren't looking, I'd be eating a piece of cheese right now. If I was by myself, I'd be eating cheese. Okay. So we've laid both sides of these sandwiches with cheese, and I have got piles and piles and mounds of that really, really good deli corned beef. So we are gonna just pick up a little bit here. Let's check on our sweet potatoes because I can hear them. They are sizzling like crazy. And I'm gonna make a way for those to sit down right here. And I'm gonna give myself a second or two when I open that smoking hot oven, because I just about caught fire the last time. Okay, ready? Give it a second. Let that heat out. Oh my goodness, yes, they're brown. They look crisp. Oh, okay, so some of them get really dark and they're my favorite ones of all. They are delicious. They taste kind of caramelized. You know that little burnt part of like a pizza crust that's so good? I love that part. It's kind of like that. If you don't like those bits, take them out. But look how pretty. Okay, let's find my spatula. Can you hear them? Do you hear how crispy they've gotten? Oh my goodness, love them so much. And what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of chopped rosemary on the very end. You do not have to add the rosemary if you don't like. I just really love that flavor. Not only that, but a little green is always so pretty. So I'm gonna scoot this off and let's chop a little bit of rosemary. Now, one of the things that I really love about the Harps grocery store is that they sell not only those big batches of the herbs and things like that, but they sell these neat little individual cases, because oftentimes I have to go buy rosemary or thyme or mint or something like that, and they come in those huge containers and I can't ever use them all. And so I love these little personal, like almost like a single use or single like a 1 or a 2 use container. Okay, so I'm just gonna give rosemary a little rough chop, not much. And again, you do not have to use rosemary if you don't want. We're gonna throw the stalky part away. Go over it one more time. And rosemary bounces out of your knife just a little bit, and that's all right. It's just part of it. And I'm just gonna take these little coarse pieces and just go right over there. They smell so good when they get hot. Okay, and while we're away, I'm gonna stick these in that toasty oven and we're gonna melt this down really, really good and pull them back out and sauce them and serve them. This is cooking today. And we're back. We're wrapping up Southern Reuben sandwiches, and we've just taken them out of a 425-degree oven for just long enough to melt the cheese down. And these are so beautiful. And I'm gonna plate this. Look how pretty that cheese is melted down. So we are going to put our bottom down and then let's sauce a little. And I say a little, but I don't mean a little, I mean a lot. We want this to be kind of mushy and good and covered in that good sauce that we made. And here's what makes them Southern. Our love for chow-chow, this spicy, sweet, oh my goodness, pickly relish. It makes my mouth water when I spoon it out. And then look how easy this is. We're gonna top it with that pretty piece of toasted marbled rye. And then let's just spoon some of these big boys out. Scoop that and make a beautiful pan. You can dip these in the leftover Thousand Island and you are gonna be in heaven, it's so good. I hope you'll make this at home and love every single bite of it. This is Cooking Today.
Groceries provided by Harps, Hometown Fresh. Iced tea brought to you by Lipton. Kitchenware is provided by Una Mays.
Hi, I'm Amy Hannon, and nothing thrills me more than people and food. Join me in the kitchen for Cooking Today. Watch Monday to Friday, and I'll share stories, cooking tips, and recipes that'll feed everyone from your family to a big old crowd. Cooking Today, weekdays, right here on KNWA.